We live in a world of unsolicited feedback, whether it's the comment on social media or the honking of a horn from a fellow driver. And sometimes the feedback we receive is downright toxic. Sometimes it's misinformed, but sometimes it's exactly what we need in order to grow. This is why feedback requires trust. Note that trust comes in many forms. Sometimes you trust someone based on their lived experience or their expertise. Other times you trust them on a more relational level based on mutual vulnerability. About a decade ago, I created the following grid to help make sense out of the relationship between trust and feedback. Horizontally, you have a continuum of trust from low to high, and vertically, you have a continuum of feedback from negative to positive. When the feedback is positive, but there is negative trust, or you don't trust the person, you end up with flattery. Now, this feels great, but it is potentially toxic and often manipulative. When the feedback is negative and there's distrust, it's just hating, and the haters are gonna hate. When the feedback is negative, but there's a high level of trust, you actually have critical feedback. Now, this doesn't feel good, but it's often where growth happens. And finally, when the feedback is positive and there's a high level of trust, you have affirmation. And those are the words that can restore your confidence even when you stop believing in yourself. Often the type of feedback we're receiving requires different levels of trust. For example, you don't need a ton of trust to get feedback on creative work, but you might need more trust if someone's going to critique your ideas and beliefs, and even more trust for critiques about your actions, and even more trust for feedback on your character. In other words, the level of required trust increases as the feedback becomes more personal to you.